Hi everyone, it's Jess and we're back for a live with Circular Economy Club London. We had a little pause during the summer break, but we're back this month and we're actually back on Zero Waste Week. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Today I'm so excited. We're going to be talking to Lucy Hughes, the founder of Marinatex. And she's obviously going to tell you all about what Marinatex is, but they basically create like a bioplastic made from fish waste, which is just mind-blowing. And also a little shout out to Sussex Uni, because Lucy Hughes went to Sussex. I also went to Sussex. Nat, who's also a volunteer in Circular Economy Club, also went to Sussex. And David does loads of work with Sussex Uni. So yeah, little shout out to Sussex. And I'm actually seeing some more Sussex alumni in the live. So yeah, anyway, really excited to chat to Lucy. And yeah, I'm just going to let you join the live, Lucy, if that's okay. And yeah, as per usual, pop in your questions in the chat below. And yeah, Lucy will answer them, of course. Hello. Yeah. Oh, you're outside. Lovely.
I've taken you out to my garden.
Very nice. We've not had that yet. That's great.
Hopefully the Wi-Fi stretches.
Yes. Yeah. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. Perfect. Cool. Whereabouts are you in England?
Well, currently I'm at Twickenham visiting my family.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, so kind of outskirts of London.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks so much for joining the live this week on Zero Waste Week as well. Which is really fitting with our chat today. And yeah, I mean, I've been obsessed with what you've done from the get-go. So yeah, really happy that you're here chatting to us today. And I think maybe before you talk about Marinatex, maybe just a bit about who you are, just before we delve in.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Lucy Hughes. I graduated last year from product design, as you mentioned, from the University of Sussex. And I am also the creator of Marinatex.
Amazing. And so if no one knows here, let's say, what Marinatex is,
Yes.
What is Marinatex? Tell us exactly what it's all about.
Sure. So yeah, Marinatex is essentially a new material which is made from fish waste and red algae. So that's using like the skins and the scales from the fish. And essentially it was designed to provide a planet conscious alternative to LDPE plastic film, particularly in like packaging applications.
Yeah.
So it looks and feels a lot like plastic. It's translucent, it's super flexible, it's strong. But it's actually a lot more circular, so it's obviously starting off from using a fish waste stream, and also at the end of life it's part of that circular, like green circle, so it will return its nutrients back into the soil and can decompose and biodegrade in home compostable environments between 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay, amazing. And what kind of like packaging products can we find it in?
Yeah, so like it's an interesting question because I'm trying to aim towards obviously like maximum impact and like minimum hurdle, especially because I'm like obviously a startup. So
yeah,
and like one of the most appealing places that I can see it at the moment is like polybags in clothing. So,
okay.
you know, when you get an order from online and it's see-through and it's plastic, but it doesn't necessarily need to be plastic, it needs to protect the clothing.
Yeah.
But it doesn't, it needs to be, you need to see through it so the warehouse can see it, but it doesn't need to be plastic. And there's, I think, 180 billion created each year. So that's a really exciting opportunity for Marinatex.
Wow. And I don't know if that was still a thing, but like, you know, like the sandwich wrappers that are like plastic film.
Yeah.
Are you looking at stuff like that as well?
Yeah, so as you probably are aware, there's a lot of kind of food contact kind of questions, and even to just get a test for that is tens of thousands of pounds, as the lady quoted to me. So that's definitely in the pipeline. It's just obviously, as I say, like I'm trying to raise funds, and that's something that might come down a bit later along the line.
Okay, oh, that's amazing. And how did you actually get the idea? Because the way you describe it, like, oh, you know, very casually, fish scales, you know, obviously I can use that to make a bioplastic. Like, what, did you just wake up or have a dream and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to do this?
Yeah, so like, I mean, no. I started off, I basically wanted to use a waste stream. So for our final year projects, we have a year to work on one project. And I kind of sort of had a little bit of an identity crisis, realised that products had become the problem. And yet I was in product design, so I was designing that problem. But I think quite quickly you realise that actually it puts you in a really good position to kind of change that. So I wanted to make my product as sustainable as possible. So I thought the best way to start that is to start from using a secondary product. So start from a waste stream. So I was put in contact with MCB Seafoods, and I went to the plant and kind of looked at what they had. And essentially it was just down to kind of like researching what they had. So they had like everything from, like, as you can probably imagine, like bloods and guts and offal and like not glamorous. But you kind of quite quickly realise that actually you could feel it. Like when you had the skins and the scales in your hand, I was like, this is so strong and so flexible, and like it just made so much sense to me that, like, yes, like looking towards nature, like nature makes so much with actually so little. Like if you think about the building blocks of nature, I was like, well, cool, let's try play around with this. And you know, I'm very lucky. There's a really kind of thriving bioplastics open source network. So I used Materiom, which is a really great website if anyone else is looking into that. But yeah, just a combination of like research and like loads of tests. Like my flatmates thought I was crazy, my parents thought I was crazy. So it was just kind of like playing around and kind of having and using that final year as like an opportunity to take a risk, because it's your only time really that you could take that risk. So I'd really encourage anyone that's in their final year to just do something a bit wacky.
Yeah, because it was product design that you were studying.
Yeah, it was. And I think most courses would have sort of laughed me out the door. So like really, really happy that Sussex kind of stuck by me with my a bit off the wall project.
Yeah. And had anyone, like, did you come across in your research anyone else that had thought, oh, you know, a new bioplastic fish waste? Like, did anyone else out there have the idea as well?
There's not necessarily with the like proteins. A lot of there's other different parts of fish that can be used, but the protein side of things is because obviously like fish has like oils and stuff, so that people have looked into the oils, but they haven't necessarily looked into the protein side of it. But there are other things using agar. Agar as a base is quite common in kind of a lot of up and coming bioplastics.
Yeah. Okay. And have you, like, what would happen, what normally happens to like all that fish waste? Like, is it literally just put in a bin? Like what?
Yeah,
what
so it depends on where you are in like the world. In more economically developed countries, there are systems in place. It most often is changed into fish meal. The only issue with fish meal is that it's quite a unique and intensive process. So in England, I think there's less than 3 process plants in the whole of England. So for example, in Newhaven, which is right at the bottom of the country, they have to ship their waste all the way up to Grimsby, which is like pretty much the north of the country. So, and like not only is that obviously quite a long distance, the waste is wet because it's fishy and slippery and wet because it's come from the ocean. And also it's has to be refrigerated so that it doesn't pick up anything like salmonella along the way. So these trucks, these like big heavy trucks that are having to be like refrigerated, are going every day, and we're talking like 200 to 400 kilograms of weight just in one day. So and that's enough to make roughly like 8,000 to 17,000 Marinatex bags.
Oh wow! Okay, so you're like, give me all of that.
I'm like, this is the better option.
Yeah. Oh, amazing! And what would you say is Marinatex's like main mission then at this point?
So yeah, I've kind of got like short-term and long-term missions. I mean, the long-term mission is to create circular solutions to linear problems. And the short-term mission is to obviously try and see if we can replace LDP film with Marinatex and grow in like the most sustainable way possible. So that's kind of like not growing too fast, not living outside of our means. Like it's sort of an organic growth which kind of puts the planet first.
Yeah. And I know you said at the beginning, but I think we've had more people join. How long did you say it takes for Marinatex products to decompose?
So in a home compostable environment, so that's between like 40 and 70 odd degrees Celsius, it's between 4 and 6 weeks.
Okay, that's amazing.
Yeah, super quick.
Because I know, and myself included, like so many people are so wary, when people say, oh yeah, no, it's fine, it biodegrades, it decomposes, this and that, and then it's like, oh, this biodegradable bag has been found 30 years later. So when people like you speak about weeks, I'm like, that's just absolutely amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and this is a random question that's just popped into my mind, but have you had much feedback from vegan people?
Yeah, so I mean, because obviously I did my studies in Brighton, have a lot of vegan friends. I really thought that there was going to be like a big pushback. And interestingly, I knew that my project was never going to be vegan to start with because I started from a fish processing plant. I didn't know what I was going to be making at that point, but it started with fish, so like it was never going to be vegan. But I think there's a few interesting parts of this, and I think so for me, I love the ocean, I'm a diver, and kind of being and protecting that, for me, like, unfortunately, the kind of society that we live in, you kind of have to vote with your money to support people that are doing it right. So the processing plant that I work with, they are part of the Sustainable Seafood Coalition, and I would only be using waste from people that are basically working towards protecting the oceans. So from me, supporting them supports sustainable fishing, which is for me where my passions lie. But I can understand how some vegans wouldn't see that as appealing.
Okay. And at the stage that you're at, I just wonder I think it'd be really interesting. So you obviously went to Sussex, did product design. This was your 3rd year project. How did this actually go then? How did it keep going post just a unique project? Like how have you become who you are today? How did it work?
So I applied to the James Dyson Award kind of as a wild card, kind of as like this is so far from what they've ever given like the award to before that. And that they haven't had a huge emphasis on sustainability prior to that. So I kind of entered thinking like, you never know. And I ended up actually winning the national and international award. So from that just kind of gave me like not only like a huge amount of kind of sort of interest and exposure and some funds, but it also kind of gave the project credibility. So it allowed me to sort of like come to like speak at tables and actually be heard, and kind of gave a platform for the project. So from there, I just sort of kept going.
And when was that? 2019?
Yes. Okay, so I think it was announced this time last year was the national announcement. So it's been almost a year.
Wow. And are you allowed to tell us like who you collaborating with? Like, have you had many companies get in touch with you? Like what kind of
so there's different partners that I'll be having throughout the journey. So like at the moment I'm still in R&D phase, so the people I'll be collaborating with will be sort of innovation based, and help with kind of helping the product along in kind of the lab setting. But I think I'm allowed to tell you this. I've had like conversations with M&S and Asda, and a really exciting one recently is Kathmandu. And basically they're all just really interested in new innovations that aren't going to kill our planet, which I thought was really like encouraging. I think I'm still a little bit, early days, I think, for a lot of these conversations, but it's just been really encouraging for me to have this much interest in something which was created in my kitchen.
That's amazing. And would you be keen, if anyone is watching now or when I share this later, are you quite keen for someone like, I don't know, ASOS or Zara to contact you with like the Polybag thing and say, you know, we want to do a trial with you? Like, would that be a dream kind of thing?
Yeah, I think, I mean, so I would love to have these conversations, and I have been having them so far. I'd also love to be like a little bit further along, so I can really offer them like, this is, you know,
right,
for a pilot.
Yeah.
I also want to make sure that it's at its best. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, so I don't want to send something out which isn't, you know, up to at least this much of my standards. So, and that's including of like the production facilities. So I'm raising funds at the moment to create production facilities, because at the moment I'm just, again, still in my kitchen. So yeah, but I mean, opening these conversations and also like making them aware that there are alternatives and would be great. Yeah.
And what you're talking about, you know, you're looking for funds in this. Do you want to tell our listeners like how can they help you out? Like, what's the best way, if they're individuals or businesses, what's the best way that we can help you out?
I think the best way is probably just to keep I mean, this might sound a little bit non-direct, but just to kind of to keep the pressure on companies. It doesn't even necessarily have to be like, you know, promoting Marinatex, but just sort of like keep telling them that you're annoyed when you see plastic, or I think at this point. And then when I'm ready to kind of launch, then I'll rally the troops.
Okay, cool. And the best way is the best way to like see what you're up to? Like, do you have a newsletter? Is it best to just follow you on Instagram? Like, where, you know, if I want to hear it first, where's the best way to hear it?
Best way is to follow my Instagram account.
Okay.
I don't post particularly often, but it's quality more than quantity.
Yeah, very good. Well, I mean, I've seen you've got already about 4,000 followers, which is amazing.
Yeah. So, thanks, guys.
That, you know, I saw that. I was like, wow. And yeah, you know, you don't post, you know, every single day. So that's, you know, you've obviously, I think just that shows how, you know, people are wanting to hear more from you and are just amazed by what you do. And I know whenever I've mentioned Marinatex to people, everyone's like, oh, yeah. Like, I've heard of that. And I think last time we met, I said, you know, I saw a video of you on, you know, World Economic Forum. And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Hi. So I mean,
it's been incredible. Yeah.
And I was wondering, so as like a young woman entrepreneur, like, do you have any tips for any other like young women out there that are also wanting to start up their own business? Because I know, like, you know, me and my friends, like, I think a few years ago we were talking about what you were doing. We were like, oh my god, you know, why did we not have this idea? It's amazing. And we're always having these ideas and these talks like, let's start our own business, and we're hearing these ideas and we're like, oh my gosh, you know, it's so simple, why did I not think of that? So do you have any tips?
I think like I'd love to say that like being a woman like hasn't affected my journey so far, but like the amount of times where I felt like I have stuck out like a sore thumb in a room full of suit and ties, and like the amount of times where I've had to like take a deep breath and just be like, smile, like smile and wave, boys. But you kind of realize that like you can use it to your advantage as well. Like you can kind of be a breath of fresh air. Like they're sick of suit and ties, like and if you feel like if you can own it and like just be really honest and like, kind of do it your own way, make it your own, do your research, and just be honest and be transparent and kind of own it.
Yeah, amazing.
You can do it.
because how, if you don't mind saying, like, how old were you when you won the Dyson Award?
23.
Like, that's amazing. That's so cool. Amazing. Congrats again for winning.
Thank you so much.
So what if if I'm watching this as a business and all that, what's the best way to get in touch with you? Is it again through your Instagram, or do you rather emails? What's the best
Yeah,
way
the best way, I've on my website, which is www.marinatex.co.uk, there is a contact form,
Okay.
and you can fill out the form, and yeah, that's how most people get in contact with me.
Okay, great, cool. And then before we end today, I'm just gonna do a little plug-in. So, Circular Economy Club and CIWM are working together at the moment, and basically CIWM members can get 10% off the Circular Economy certificate. So if anyone is still looking for a certificate to do, because I know during lockdown everyone was like doing all these certificates. So yeah, there's a Circular Economy one. And yeah, it's in our bio, Circular Economy Club London in our bio. So yeah, just a little plug in for that. But yeah, thank you so much for your time today. And again, just very, inspired and amazed by what you do. I know I saw you at the saw you talk at the Circular Economy Club event that we had at BioBean's office last summer, and everyone was just like, amazed by what you do. So
Oh,
please,
bless.
keep going. And
Okay, we'll do.
yeah, more updates would be lovely, because I know we're
Sure.
all keen to know what you're up to. And then yeah, and I think whenever you're ready to ask for funds or people to
Yeah,
collaborate with and stuff, I know there's a community behind you that will share it and try to
amazing.
get you seen and stuff. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks. Of course. Have a good rest of your day. Oh,
You
someone just
too.
said I'm a huge fan. Someone's just said.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.